Hello and welcome to Astrology with Zeke. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So far, I've only done chart readings for various people, and I wanted to expand my horizons. So we're going to be talking about the upcoming Mercury retrograde in Cancer. So for those who don't know, it's going to go retrograde on the 29th of June and will be retrograde through the 23rd of July, so just shy of a month. I also wanted to talk about this Mercury retrograde partly because it just appears particularly significant because the day that it happens, actually by the minute, when Mercury goes retrograde will just be just a few hours before the Capricorn full moon, and it's also on the same day that Jupiter will be leaving Cancer and then going into Leo. So I just found that really significant, and it's just something that I wanted to talk about. It, to my mind, kind of feels like it's the ending of a cycle, as you know, it's a full moon, which is an ending, but it's also going to include a long period of review. Funnily enough, the effects of a full moon tend to last for 3 weeks, which is also correlates with how long Mercury retrograde tends to last. So, just a lot of things that I just found particularly fascinating. I wanted to talk about it, so here we are. Later on in the video, I'll also go through each individual zodiac sign for rising signs and kind of touch on how it'll particularly affect you. It'll be whole sign based, so again, um, take it with a grain of salt because everybody's chart is different. How the houses present themselves, just because one person might be an Aries rising sign doesn't mean their houses are going to look exactly the same as the next person with an Aries rising. So keep that in mind. Um, Obviously, this will what this is doing to your individual chart will matter more, but since I don't see your chart, I can only give everyone just a general overview. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dig in. Okay, so um, yeah, there's a couple of formations that I want to talk about with this Mercury retrograde. The first one is there's a conjunction between Mercury and Jupiter, as when Mercury does go retrograde, Jupiter will still be in Cancer, so that's a conjunction. It is a separating conjunction because even though Mercury is quicker, it's going in the other direction because it's retrograde. That being said, what this tells me is everything about this period of review with Mercury will be bigger, it will be expanded because that's what Jupiter does, it expands. So specifically, this retrograde is going to be going over themes of security, the past, family, your roots, ancestry. So there's going to be a lot of those themes just under review. And I just think it's so apropos as Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. It's on the last degree, which is the anorectic degree, which includes everything to do with the sign of Cancer. Also, the sun is co-present right there. So it just seems like the themes of the past and how we have been living our lives and how we relate to our family, where we come from, that's all going to be under review in a very big way. So I just wanted to talk about that. Also, again, there's a full moon, and funnily enough, the dispositor of this Mercury retrograde will be in Capricorn, which is the sign directly opposite. So that's going to kind of be the culmination of all of your efforts are going to be come to the forefront, especially in a very Capricorn way. So, kind of how you handle work, business. Obviously, that's going to be very different depending on your rising sign. But it's going to basically be, themes that are opposite of Cancer. So, Cancer tends to have to do with the archetypal mother, Capricorn's the archetypal father, and kind of how you handle the external world. So there's going to be this push-pull between these themes in your life and of this period of review. Um, yeah, so I'll also just go ahead and talk about the other aspects that don't necessarily include Mercury, but will be significant during this period. So first and foremost, probably the biggest one is this is going to include the sun and moon, is there is a T-square. So of course, every full moon, the sun and moon will always be opposite of each other. And that in and of itself is never really that big of a deal unless there's something else going on, which in this case, there is. So if you look in the sign of Aries, the sun and moon will be making a loose square to Saturn, but a much tighter square to Neptune. So I think the Neptune element is going to matter a lot more. So I'll just touch on Neptune first, as that's a tighter square. So Neptune is all about illusions, dissolving boundaries, and it's in the sign of Aries, which is the sign of freedom, how we assert ourselves. It's the sign of the warrior. It has a lot to do with independence and going your own way. And with Neptune being here, there's probably a lot of illusions and confusion about how to go forward with that. That makes a lot of sense why this is a T square, because it's directly squaring, you know, um, the sun in Cancer, which is how we feel about our past and security, and cares a lot about tradition. And then also squares the moon in Capricorn, which is um, in a different way, kind of cares about tradition, but I would say it's more about routine, climbing the ladder, and all about the long, steady approach to how you handle your business. It's not about being quick or fiery. It's about that long, drawn out um, uh, how you handle a business, and just that the playing the long game. Whereas Aries, it's a fire sign, so it's all about now, 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 now. What's interesting to me is actually is it just seems like there's just going to be a lot of confusion with how we move forward. And then if we move to Saturn, which is now it's been conjunct Neptune in Aries for some time, but now it's separating, which is probably a nice thing. That being said, Saturn really isn't happy in Aries. Um, it's the sign that's all about restriction, order, discipline, and that just doesn't really fit well with the theme of Aries. It's technically in fall in the sign. Um, but what's interesting is the moon is technically in reception, because a Capricorn moon would be ruled by Saturn, and it's right there. That being said, Saturn's in a sign it doesn't like, and the moon doesn't necessarily like being in Capricorn either. So this is I would say it's not a fun T square. So there's probably going to be a lot of trouble with discipline, with actually putting in the hard work, the day-to-day work to make your ambitions come to fruition. It's not necessarily going to be because of you. It could just be external things getting in the way, because we do have that loose conjunction with Neptune. Or maybe you're just kind of at a loss of how to make things happen. Like you have an idea of what you want to happen, but you're having a hard time of actually figuring out how to make that happen. Yeah, so moving on, the other formation that I want to talk about is we do have a minor grand trine. It's going to include Neptune in Aries, but it's making a nice sextile to that Mars Uranus conjunction in Gemini, and is also making that sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. So this one's a lot nicer. It's uh, a positive aspect, unlike that T square. since it's involving outer planets, I don't think this one is going to be as impactful, but it could be helpful. Obviously, this depends a lot more on what it's doing in your chart, but there we go. So again, Neptune's all about dissolving boundaries. And with that sextile to that Mars-Uranus conjunction in Gemini, that tells me it's about dissolving boundaries and coming up with new and unusual and out of the box thinking and ways of asserting yourself and uh, handling business and getting things done. It's really nice aspect for coming up with new and creative ways of doing things. Because that's the other thing is Neptune is ruled by Mars and it's making a positive aspect to its ruler. So that's pretty good. Also with that sextile to Pluto, that could be like uncovering secrets, uncovering hidden things. So it's like coming up with dissolving boundaries to come up with new creative ways that's influenced by uh, kind of things that were hidden. So there's probably going to be a lot of revelations, which is going to be pushing you to come up with highly creative ways to get what you want. So that's pretty good. Again, since they're outer planets, they tend to be more influential on a societal level rather than a personal level. But depending on how this is affecting your chart, could be different. So I think that's the two big aspects that I want to talk about that's going to be affecting everyone. So next up, I will be going over each individual rising sign, starting with Aries, and then I'll just go around the zodiac. All right, so for Aries rising, this Mercury retrograde is going to be happening in your fourth house. So that's going to be your home, your roots, where you come from. You know, it's Cancer is the natural sign of the fourth house. So it's also an angular house. So this Mercury retrograde is probably going to be pretty big for you guys, especially again as that Mercury is conjunct Jupiter. So basically, when it comes to your home, your family, things might not appear as they actually are. So do take what you perceive and the things that happen with a grain of salt. That being said, just be honest with yourself. Um, yeah. Also, that full moon is going to be in your 10th house, which is the house of career and what you're known for. So, over the course of this Mercury retrograde, I'd say that's where this push pull is really going to be happening. And also, moving on to that T square, including Saturn that I talked about. That Saturn's going to be in your first house, which is the body, the self. So on a personal level, there's possibly going to be a number of things that will be getting in the way of you finding ways to assert yourself. Um, whether that looks like just indecision or just having a hard time with sticking to a routine, having a hard time with committing to discipline. There could be a good deal of that. So, as far as advice goes, just understand what's happening. Take it easy on yourself, because this is going to be a pretty big one for you, as a lot of the stuff are in angular houses, which are the biggest life areas that we have. So, yeah, just be kind to yourself, but take things slow and steady. This, obviously, during a Mercury retrograde, it is not a time to start a new project, as they almost always go kaput. So, yeah, I would definitely say that is very appropriate for an Aries rising during this Mercury retrograde. If you try setting one up, it's probably just not going to happen. There's probably going to be all kinds of stuff just coming out of left field, getting in the way of handling business. Um, Yeah, that being said, this too shall pass. So, as you just probably going to be a harder time. So sorry to say. But yeah, the minor grand trine that I talked about with the Neptune Pluto and that Mars Uranus conjunction, that's probably going to be easier for you because that's going to include not just your first house. The Pluto will be in the 11th, and the Mars Uranus conjunction will be in the third house. So this dissolving boundaries and finding new creative solutions, that's going to have to do with your immediate neighborhood and your social groups and peers. Like you're probably going to be uncovering secrets within um, your social groups and then finding new and creative ways to assert yourself within your own personal neighborhood. So that's pretty good, but still, I would say probably the next 3 weeks might be a little rough. Sorry to say. So again, just be kind to yourself. No hasty decisions. Um, yeah, definitely not a good time to move. I would not move if I were you. That being said, it could be a good time for figuring out if you are living in the right space, in the right place. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, don't move during this period. So anyways, I think that'll about do it for an Aries rising. So next will be Taurus rising. So for Taurus rising, this Mercury retrograde is going to be in your third house. So that's the area of neighborhood, short-term, short distance travel, your vehicle. And even though this isn't an angular house, this could be a very frustrating one for Taurus as Mercury rules uh, the third house. It has a lot to do with travel and your vehicle. And since this is like a period of review, there could be a number of upsets or just things getting in the way with your car, maybe things breaking down, especially since this conjunct that Jupiter. So there's probably going to be a number of frustrations within your neighborhood, perhaps your siblings. It's also the sign of Cancer, so if you have siblings, be wary of any disagreements, potential disagreements, because it's you're probably going to be interpreting things the wrong way. But also with your vehicle, there's probably going to be issues with your vehicle. So if you're ever driving or going anywhere, just be mindful of what's going on. Be mindful of your environment, of course, but also make sure you're taking care of your car, doing all the little maintenance things that you need to do so your car doesn't break down on you, because that obviously could be an issue, especially with that Capricorn moon, which has a lot to do with work. But in this case, it's going to be in your ninth house, which has to do with spirituality, higher learning, and also long distance travel, funnily enough. So I think now is not the time for any kind of travel for Taurus rising. There's just going to be issues. Yeah, that being said, still live your life, of course, but just, cross all your T's, dot all your I's. Yeah, there's just probably going to be a lot of upsets with travel. But perhaps you come up with some new breakthroughs if there's been a spiritual or philosophical conundrum of yours that you just haven't found the solution to. This could be a period in which you do find said solution. That being said, since that full moon is in that T square and Saturn's in the 12th house, which is about places of isolation, self-undoing behaviors, this is probably just going to be a hard one for you as well, as that Saturn in Aries is just not well aspected. It's in a sign it doesn't like, and it's in a rough house. Even if you do have spiritual breakthroughs, actually implementing it could be difficult. So, like I said, with Aries rising, this is a period to be kind to yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself if things just aren't working out. Try your best to remain flexible. So, also that Neptune minor grand trine, the apex of that is also in the 12th house, with Pluto in the 10th and the Mars Uranus conjunction in the second house. So that's going to have a lot to do with uh, dissolving boundaries. Perhaps there have been hidden enemies that you're not aware of related to your work, especially since, Pluto has to do with hidden things. So it's like a way of removing hidden enemies or perhaps self-undoing behaviors. Perhaps you've been the hothead and you didn't realize uh, that you were. So this could be a way of uh, finding ways to get rid of those self-undoing behaviors and just finding new, very creative ways to uh, get the resources that you need, as second house is all about your money. So, I mean, that's, I suppose, something to look forward to, but sorry to say this is probably going to be a rough one. That being said, it could lead to a number of breakthroughs. However, with said breakthroughs actually coming to fruition, that might not happen. There's probably going to be a lot of stuff getting in the way, but that'll be for after. So long term, it's probably going to be good. Short term, it's probably going to be a lot of frustrations. Sorry to say. So that will about do it for Taurus Rising. So next will be Gemini Rising. So the Mercury retrograde is going to be in your second house, which is the house about our finances, how good you are with money, values. Um, and while a number of the placements are really powerful in the second house, like again, Jupiter is really powerful in there, but with this conjunction to this Mercury retrograde, that's basically going to be a period of review in, I would say, how you make your money, you know, how you spend it, what you do with it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Perhaps you've been going through a period of irresponsibility, or, hey, the economy's trash right now. Everything's expensive. So you're just going through a period of review of like, okay, what do we need to cut back on? What can we keep? So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, again, a period of review on how you go about using your finances. So with that full moon in Capricorn, the moon's going to be in your eighth house, which also, hey, that's about joint finances. So if you're married, this is going to be a time where you're going to be getting with your spouse and getting down to brass tacks, figuring out how to handle business and the best way to move forward with your money. It also has to do with debts, things like that. So I think for a Gemini rising, money is going to be a really big theme for you guys, especially over, the next 3 weeks to a month. That also makes even more sense with that Moon Sun T square to Saturn, as Saturn's going to be in your 11th house, which is friends, social groups, peers. So this probably tells me that money's going to be really tight. And that's going to be getting in the way of you going out and having fun with friends, which, I mean, is it really such a surprise? I mean, you go to the grocery store, everything just keeps going up and up and up, and there's just no sign of relief in the future. I mean, financially speaking, unfortunately, that's just how it is. So, as much as it's not fun, that's also just kind of how it is. So, it's not really a surprise. So, my advice would be basically find new ways to have fun because you may be forced to be a hermit in the upcoming weeks, which could certainly be tough for Gemini rising as they tend to be social creatures more than others. That being said, that minor grand trine with the Neptune Pluto and the Mars Uranus conjunction, that's going to be in your 11th house with Pluto in the ninth and the Mars Uranus in the first house, which is the self. So, um, kind of related with what I just said about the T square is there's going to be a bunch of dissolving boundaries with how you on a personal level relate to your friends. And that's also going to be pretty related to what you get out of it in from a spiritual point of view. So you're probably gonna find be looking for new ways to derive spiritual meaning or a sense of fulfillment uh, outside of just your friends. Or you're gonna find new ways to enjoy time with your friends just without spending money. So, um, so that's not so bad. Overall, I think this one isn't that bad. It'll just be some tightening of the belt, so to speak. That being said, if you've been uh, not so responsible with your money, then yeah, this one's probably going to be rough on you, sorry to say. So, but a lot of good can come out of this. Just finding new ways to become more financially and fiscally responsible. So, yeah. All right. So next up, ooh, Cancer Rising. Yeah, this for Cancer Risings, yeah, this Mercury retrograde will be in your first house, which is the self, the body. Um, this is probably just going to be a rough one. You're probably going to be reviewing your own habits and how you deal with change. This is going to be under review in a very big way for you. So, if you have a number of unhealthy habits or things that just probably aren't the best for you, that's really going to come to the forefront. That being said, anything that you do very positively, that'll be highlighted. So it just kind of depends on where you're at in your own life. There's going to be a lot of well, to use the old phrase, perhaps a come to Jesus moment for you. It's funny that I say it as a pagan, but if you're an American, you have heard that phrase, you know exactly what it means. You know, you're just gonna have to go through a period of brutal honesty with yourself. But again, if you've been doing all the right things, it's probably not going to be so bad for you. So moving on to that full moon, the moon's going to be in your seventh house, which has to do with marriage, one-on-one relationships, clients. So that's going to be on review. If you are a business owner and you do stuff on a client basis, um, this is probably going to be a difficult time for you. You're probably just not going to get a whole lot of business as we got that T square with Saturn, like I said, and it's in the sign of Aries. So yeah, I would say if you are self-employed, this is probably going to be a pretty rough time for you. Or if you do anything, any kind of work that has you work one-on-one with clients, this is probably going to be a hard time for you. You might not be getting a whole lot of traction with your business and with work, so it's going to be rough. Um, so it's going to be pushing you to just be a lot more creative and how you figure that out. Which kind of leads me to that minor grand trine because we got the Neptune, which will also be in your 10th house, and with Pluto in your eighth, and the Mars Uranus in the 12th house. There's going to be a lot of dissolving boundaries between institutions, self-undoing behaviors, maybe an elimination of hidden enemies that you didn't know were there, and you're just going to be finding new ways to thwart all those obstacles, and you're going to be finding new hidden secrets, probably uncovering uh, perhaps some secrets within your debts, or finding new ways to eliminate those. There's the potential for this to be a transformative experience for you in ways you didn't think of before. So, really, depending on where you're at with this life, this could be really good for you, or it could be really hard for you. Again, it depends on where you're at with your own life. So, best of luck to you, Cancer Risings. Again, don't be too hard on yourself. Um, Negative self-talk never helped anyone. Rumination, none of that stuff ever helped anyone. So, learn to forgive yourself if you've been doing things you probably shouldn't have, and find the best way to move forward, I guess. Yeah. So that'll about do it for Cancer Rising. All right. So next up is going to be Leo Rising. So for Leo Rising, this Mercury retrograde is going to be in your 12th house, which again, that's the house of hidden things, of hidden enemies, self-endoing behaviors. Funnily enough, there's probably a good chance you may not notice this, as there's going to be a lot of stuff going on in the background. It's going to be in big ways, so maybe after the fact, something's going to come out of nowhere, and you're going to be like, "Whoa, what happened?" On the other hand, this is perhaps a time in which uh, there could be betrayals uh, in your life, that or news, rumors, negative things spread about you. As you know, 12th house has to do with hidden enemies. Uh, so brace yourself. This one, I don't know. It could be quite strange for Leo Rising. Like, you might think, oh wow, something's weird's going on in the background, but I just don't know quite what it is. It's probably because this is going on in your 12th house. So that being said, again, with that conjunction to Jupiter, it's probably going to be in a big way. So yeah, I would say there's probably going to be a chance that you're just going to feel funny, and you're just not going to quite know why. And you're just going to be like, what is going on? And this is probably why. Also, what could be on review, if you're a highly sentimental person, and in a not so good way, that could be why, because that if that's a self-undoing behavior of yourself, um, that's really gonna become apparent for you. So, that full moon in Capricorn, that will be in your sixth house, which is our daily habits and kind of how we approach work, and our critical thinking patterns. So, the way you have been approaching your work, whether you've been working hard at something, that's probably going to come to fruition, which is a good thing. That being said, because of that T square to Saturn, there's probably going to be some pretty big delays on that, which is frustrating, I know. But overall, you'll probably be okay in the end. As you know, we got that minor grand trine. That's going to be in your ninth house, with Mars Uranus conjunction in the 11th, and Pluto in the 7th. So there's you're probably going to be finding new ways, new friends, new people, new ways of working with those to make the results of your hard work come to fruition. So, I mean, overall, I think it'll be a positive thing. It's just there's probably going to be unexpected delays that are just going to kind of force you to get creative and overcome those obstacles. So I think that'll about do it for a Leo rising. Next up will be Virgo risings. So for you, this Mercury retrograde will be in the 11th house, which is, your friend groups, and your peers. And so a lot of friendships are going to be on review. I think the big question is, do these relationships, do these peer groups, do these clubs of mine, do they serve me? There's going to be a lot of sentimentality attached to it, but that in and of itself is going to be on review. Like at the end of the day, is this healthy for me? Is this good for me? Is it serving me? And again, with that Mercury Jupiter conjunction, this is going to be in a very big way. There's also going to be probably a breakthrough in a creative endeavor as your full moon, that Capricorn full moon, is going to be in the fifth house, which is all about creativity, how we have fun. There's been a creative project that you've been working on. That's probably going to be come to fruition real quick. If you've been thinking about starting a creative project, now is not the time. Now is not the time. But if you already started it before this Mercury retrograde, that will probably come to fruition. That being said, with that T square including Saturn and Aries, there's probably going to be some delays that are going to be frustrating. And then, of course, we're going to include that minor grand trine with that Neptune. It's just going to force you to find new creative ways to work towards making it happen. Um, yeah, but again, this is not the time to start new projects. So if you do start new projects, yeah, it's probably going to be very hampered, very difficult to actually make it happen. But you'll probably find new ways to happen, but you're probably going to have to do it on your own. As with that Mercury retrograde in your 11th house, there's probably going to be a lot of hiccups and stuff within your friend groups, probably a lot of miscommunications. So I'll also say, don't make any hasty decisions when it comes to friends. You might have more arguments and just be aware that it's probably due to miscommunication and not something factual. So keep that in mind. All right. So that'll about do it for Virgo rising. Next up are gonna be all my Libra risings. So this retrograde will, it's on an angular house. It'll be your 10th house. So career, that's going to be a big review. This is, I would say this is not the time to make any hasty decisions about your job. If you have one right now, don't quit it. Don't quit. Um, because even if you're having a disagreement with your boss or something's going down, wait. Just give it time. Something's going to sort itself out. Perhaps something's going to come to light and you're going to be like, oh. Or, if you're looking for a job, this is probably going to be a rough time for you because you might hear about an opportunity and then it just turns out to be BS. Or for whatever reason, it just doesn't happen. So this Mercury retrograde is probably going to be a rough one on you. It's also probably going to be a restrictive time within your home life, your private life, as we got that Capricorn full moon. That's going to be in your fourth house, which is the home, the family, your private life. So this was probably just going to be kind of hard on you. The figuring out that work-life balance is another thing that's going to be on review. Perhaps you've been spending too much time at work, whether that's because there's been a lot of demands on you from work, or maybe you're just trying to escape something from home. Hard to say. Again, this really depends on what it's doing in your own chart. But your career, house life, that work-life balance, that's going to be a big under review. There's going to be something really coming out of that. I will also say, if you're married, do not make any hasty decisions because that T square, that Saturn, is going to be in the seventh house, which is the house of marriage. So there's probably going to be difficulties within your marriage, or with your significant other, if you have boyfriend, girlfriend, a partner. So also be forgiving and understanding with your partner. Um, because there might be a lot of miscommunications that are directly tied with your work slash home life. So this is another period where it's like, just wait, keep a level head, don't get ahead of yourself right now. On the bright side, again with that minor grand trine with that Neptune, that's also going to be in the seventh house. So you're probably going to be finding new creative ways outside of the box ways of moving forward within a relationship, finding new ways to have fun, you know, um, which is actually pretty nice, which kind of balances out that difficulty within a marriage. So again, like I said, make no hasty decisions within a partnership, no breakups. Please, 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 no breakups during this period because you'll probably live to regret it and be like, oh wow, that was silly of me. I made a mountain out of a molehill. Um, so there's a lot of potential for a lot of good to come out of this. But again, as with any Mercury retrograde, make no hasty decisions, especially when it comes to work, your home life, and your relationships, because these are going to be big during this Mercury retrograde. All right, so we are going to be moving on to the next sign, which will be Scorpio. So, for Scorpios, this Mercury retrograde is going to be in your ninth house. So, your spirituality, philosophy, long distance travel, foreign things, that's going to be under review. So, if you've had long-standing religious views or spiritual reviews, that's probably going to be under review. And what's interesting to me is, Scorpio is a fixed sign. Once a fixed sign makes up their mind, they tend to stick with it. They tend to be pretty stubborn in that way. It just depends on like what that looks like for each different fixed sign, of course. But for Scorpio, I would say, interestingly enough, if you have any connections with your roots, um, or have been thinking of perhaps you don't live in your ancestral homeland anymore and you've been thinking of traveling there, maybe that's going to be big on your mind. Perhaps your spiritual relationship in relation to where you come from, who your people are, who your family are. That's going to be a big review. This is also a time to probably not be traveling. Yeah, because with the also with that full moon, it's going to be in your third house, which is short distance travel. It also rules your vehicle, your neighborhood. So there's going to be something happening within that area of your life. Perhaps something happens with your vehicle that affects your ability to travel. So just be mindful of that. Take care of your things. Just be extra aware of that. You know, keep a cool head whenever you're traveling. Just be aware. Um, you're in complete control of your own feelings and how you react to things. How other people react to things, that's their business and that's their problem. And it's only your problem when you make it your problem. So keep that in mind. Also, that T square, the apex of it, it's going to be in the sixth house, which is your critical thinking, how you approach work. So there's probably going to be just difficulties in that area. What's also interesting is in medical astrology, the sixth house has to do with like kind of like your health on a day-to-day basis. And in medical astrology, Saturn has to do with chronic conditions. And Aries rules the head. So if you have any chronic conditions involving your head, migraines or something like that, there could be a pretty big flare up with that. So that makes sense how it could be affecting how you relate to your neighborhood and um, how you relate to the rest of the world. Because if you're going through that, I can't imagine that would be fun. So be aware of possible chronic flare-ups with chronic conditions. You know, pay attention to your doctor, whatever medical advice, whatever you got to do to stay healthy. Really pay attention to that because there's a strong possibility that you could have flare-ups. Um, it's not medical advice, but just something to be aware of. Something everybody should be doing every day, anyways. So keep that in mind. Uh, Funnily enough, we also got that Neptune Grand Trine in the sixth house, and Neptune actually does rule diseases. So I think there's an even stronger possibility that there could be a flare up in chronic conditions, and it's going to be on you to find new ways in dealing with that. So yeah, just be aware of that. Be kind to yourself. Take rest if you gotta. This is not going to be a time for getting stuff done for you. No, 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 no. So, yeah, take the extra rest, take it easy on yourself, all that fun stuff. So, yeah, I think that'll about do it for Scorpio Rising. Next up is going to be Sagittarius. So, for Sagittarius Rising, this Mercury retrograde will be in the eighth house. So the eighth house is the house of sorrows. It also has to do with joint finances, debts, how we feel about our partner, um, joint intimacy. So that area of your life is really going to be under review. To my mind, this is probably going to have more to do with debts and joint finances, especially if you're in a long-term relationship. This is going to be in review in a very big way with that Mercury Jupiter conjunction. And to my mind, this is going to have a lot more to do with finances, as that full moon, that Capricorn full moon, the moon's going to be in the second house, which again, that's money, you know. So there's probably, if you've been working on getting out of debt, like let's say you've dug yourself in a hole in like credit card debt or something like that, this is going to be a big time of reviewing how to get out of that, you know. And there's going to be new ways of handling that. That being said, you're probably going to have a really hard time with creative thinking and how to make that happen. As again, we got that T square with the sun and moon and that Saturn and Aries. It's going to be in the fifth house, which is the house of creativity and fun. It's also the relationship with children, but in this case, I think it has more to do with finding new creative ways to approach money and getting out of debt. And you're probably going to just feel really stuck. Um, that being said, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It could just be, oh man, I'm in so much debt right now, and money's so tight that, I just have no time or no discretionary income to go out and do something fun for myself. So it could be something like that where it's just annoying, but it could also be where you're just having a hard time in figuring out how to best tackle money problems. On the bright side, we got that Neptune in fifth house, making the sextiles to Pluto in the third house, and the Mars Uranus conjunction in the seventh house. So this could be a very creative time in finding new ways to have fun and do nice things for yourself and with a significant other if you have a spouse or a long-term partner, especially within your own neighborhood. So it's like kind of like finding new free ways to do fun stuff. So not overall bad, but I would say there's going to be a lot of tightening the belt with a Sagittarius rising during this Mercury retrograde. So overall, that's probably going to be a long-term good thing. But the next month is you're probably going to feel very restricted in how you go out and do things. So it's going to just force you to figure out new ways of doing that. So bear that in mind. Um, but as I've said with other signs, nothing lasts forever. The good times come and go, bad times come and go. So just stick with it. You'll be fine in the end. Okay, so moving on, we're going to move on to Capricorns, Capricorn Rising. So this Mercury retrograde, it's going to be on an angular house. It's going to be in the house of the seventh house, which is the house of marriage, contracts, long-term partnerships, one-on-one relationships, clients. Um, yeah, if you're married, this is going to be on review. It could be a difficult time within your marriage, but a lot of it's probably going to be due to miscommunications. So again, no hasty decisions. No hasty decisions. Don't ditch your partner just because, oh, they did X, Y, or Z. Just wait. Just wait. Um, it could also be a problem with contracts. So I'd also say don't move during this time because you'll have to sign a contract, whether that's buying a house or signing a new lease. That's a contract. I would strongly advise against moving during this period of time. Um, that being said, still live your life. If you gotta, you gotta. Just make sure you cross your T's, dot all your I's. Take extra care to make sure you're doing the right thing. But again, for most people, most Capricorn risings especially, I would say no hasty decisions within your personal one-on-one relationships. This is also going to be a time where that Capricorn moon, that's going to be in your first house. So there's probably going to be something with the self and how you personally relate with your partners. That's going to be coming to fruition. So if you've been sweeping things under the carpet with your partner and just not dealing with it, that's going to come to the forefront. And I think that's really what this Mercury retrograde has is displaying for you. If that's not the case, cool. But I think that's going to be a big one because again, we got that T square with the Saturn in Aries fourth house, which is the house of the home, the private life. So yeah, basically how you relate with your partner in private, that's going to be on review in a big way. There's probably going to be a lot of restriction if you're trying to work on your relationship. There's probably going to be a lot of upsets, just a lot of dumb stuff in your personal life that feels like it's getting in the way. That being said, on the bright side, we do have that Neptune minor grand trine right there in Aries as well in the fourth house. It's making that sextile to the Mars Uranus conjunction in the sixth and the sextile to Pluto in the second. So that's a lot of finding new, creative, outside of the box ways of approaching any problems within your personal life, within your home life. You're probably going to find new, unexpected ways uh, to move forward. There's probably going to be some things that come to light that you perhaps weren't aware of. Um, that at the end of the day could be positive, but again, this is not a time for hasty decisions. With that loose conjunction to Saturn, it could be initially upsetting. So I would definitely advise caution and no hasty decisions during this time. If it does come out at the end of this Mercury retrograde, you're still like, no, I want to leave this person, so be it. Again, it's your own life, live it how you will. Um, but I would just strongly advise against making any hasty decisions. So that'll about do it for Capricorn Rising. Next up, we have Aquarius Rising. So, for my Aquarius folks, This Mercury retrograde will be going on in your sixth house. So the sixth house is kind of like our daily habits, routines, the way we think, our critical thinking process, and how we approach work. So there's going to be a lot of review on how you approach your day-to-day life, perhaps your daily health. If there's been any unhealthy habits of yours, that's going to really come to the forefront. um, Perhaps in unexpected ways, you're going to realize, oh, wow, I've been doing X, Y, and Z, and that's really not so good for me. And here are the consequences, coming to bite me in the butt. So that's probably going to really come to the forefront. That being said, if you've really been taking care of yourself, that's going to be really reflected, and you're probably going to breeze through this Mercury retrograde. The full moon, though, that's going to be in the 12th house. So I find this really interesting because the 12th house is the house of self-undoing behaviors and places of isolation. So again, if you've been engaging in habits you really shouldn't have, if you're the kind of person who has an addictive personality, um, this is really going to come to the forefront. Perhaps it's going to come to the forefront with a health scare, as you got that T square with Saturn in the third house, which is your neighborhood. Um, that's going to be a really big deal this time around. So, really do be looking at how you approach your life on a day-to-day basis, especially from a health perspective. I would advise. Um, that being said, I don't have any health advice specifically to give other than listen to your doctor, take care of yourself, exercise on a regular basis, like all that good stuff that we all know we ought to be doing anyways, you know. So, yeah, that's probably going to be what's going to be on review for you during this period of time. That being said, um, there's probably going to be something about the self that's going to come to the forefront because we got that minor grand trine again with Neptune in your third house, the Pluto in the first house, and that Mars Uranus conjunction in the fifth house. So you're probably going to be finding new creative ways and dealing with any issues so with how you relate on a personal level with your immediate neighborhood. If you've been feeling stuck or just in a rut, especially within your immediate environment, you're probably going to be finding new creative ways to get around that. So, that being said, again, because we got that big T square with that full moon, these breakthroughs probably aren't going to really come to the forefront until probably after the Mercury retrograde, but you'll probably be coming up with some pretty good ideas on how to approach your problems. So that's something to look forward to. All right. Moving forward, last but not least, we have Pisces Rising. So if you are a Pisces Rising, this Mercury retrograde will be taking place in your fifth house. So the fifth house is the house of children, your relationship with children, non-committal relationships, also how we have fun, and our creativity. So if you've been working on any creative projects, this is going to be a time of review within your creative projects. Perhaps you're going to hit some stumbling blocks, like a writer's block, so to speak, if you're a writer. So this is definitely not going to be a very creative time for you. Um, Also, if you have children, there's probably going to be a review on how you raise them, how you interact with them. Even if you don't have children, if you say like work in a daycare or have some kind of a job in which you interact with children on a day-to-day basis, how you handle that is going to be on review. So that's something to be aware of. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how you're supposed to do that. That's for you to figure out on your own. I'm just saying that's probably going to be on the forefront. In a very interesting way, if we're going to continue on that theme, that full moon is going to be in your 11th house, which is your peers, social groups, clubs. And with that T square, the Saturn's going to be in the second house. So I would say this is probably going to be a big thing if you work with children. There's probably going to be a lot of restriction with making money from that. Perhaps you're just not going to have as much work coming your way, especially if like you work in like a daycare or something. As hey, money's tight for everybody. So sorry to say, but that full moon is going to have a lot to do with how you approach friends, how you approach social groups, uh, and with that Saturn in the second house, there's probably going to be a lot of restriction related to your friend groups. As you know, that Saturn does rule this full moon. So this is probably going to be a time of isolation for you, at least from friends, because there's probably going to be money's probably going to be tight. That's probably what's going to be getting in the way of you having fun with other people. That being said, we do have that aforementioned minor grand trine that Neptune is going to be in your second house with Mars Uranus conjunction in the fourth house and Pluto in the 12th. So this tells me is you're probably going to find new creative ways of perhaps uh, financial projects, uh, new ways to use your money to within your personal life, and with the 12th house, which is self-undoing behavior. So perhaps on a personal level, you've been a little loose with your money. This is going to be basically you finding new ways to basically stop that. Finding new ways to probably undo self-undoing behaviors. So um, it's going to be you being like, oh, wow, I've been doing all these silly things with my money. I gotta find new ways within myself to, just put, my adult pants on, so to speak, and just handle business and stop with unnecessary spending. So, all in all, I don't think this will be a terrible Mercury retrograde. Unless you work with kids, then this would probably be rough with you. That being said, I just think it's going to be a slow period. Not much is going to be happening from a creative perspective. So, yeah, that's what I got to say about that. Anyways, that'll about do it for all the rising signs. Again, with Mercury retrogrades, this is not a time to be signing contracts. Uh, it's not a great time for travel either, as Mercury rules travel. That being said, still live your life. Don't be afraid to live your life. Just keep a level head and be aware that there's probably going to be a lot of hiccups with this kind of stuff. So, that being said, I do hope you got value out of this Mercury retrograde overview. Also, I do this professionally. If you'd like to book my services, you can find my website at astrologywithzeke.com. You can email me if you have any questions for a reading. It'll be astrologywithzeke@gmail.com. I'll go ahead and link all of that in the description below. I'll also timestamp all of the rising signs just so that's easier to find. Probably should have put that at the beginning of the video, but oh well, here we are. So, anyways, that'll about do it for today. And I hope you all, we'll see you all in the next one.